Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today we have some very important news out of New York and out of New York City, where Mayor Eric Adams says he is staying in the New York City mayoral race amid the talk of him potentially dropping out of the race and joining the Trump administration. So if this is the first time you're hearing about this, the background of this news is that the New York City mayor race is going on right now. And President Trump made a comment a few days ago saying essentially he would not like to see a communist be the mayor of New York City, referring to obviously Democrat Zohran Mamdani, who's currently the favorite to become the next mayor of New York City. Trump has made a few statements on Mamdani before, calling him a communist and such, and will be a terrible mayor for New York City. Trump's obviously home city, and this is where things are starting to develop in this race, where Trump seems to be putting a little bit more of a emphasis in him injecting himself into the race a bit. Trump recently, the rumor has been, is that he's been trying to court Eric Adams and Republican Curtis Sliwa to exit the race and throw their support behind Andrew Cuomo, who is currently viewed as the best alternative to defeating Mamdani in the general election. Now, Eric Adams, in a press conference around 4:30 p.m. on Friday, released a statement saying that he is staying in the New York City mayoral race. He also went after Cuomo in this statement where he said essentially that Cuomo is a snake who cannot be trusted. So this is obviously very significant news for a race that is continue to developing here. Because this mayoral race for 2025, the way things currently stand, with Eric Adams, Zohran Mamdani, Curtis Sliwa, and Andrew Cuomo all in this race, it clearly shows that Zohran Mamdani is the frontrunner and is going to become the next mayor of New York City. Now, there has been a little bit of movement, which is that one of the independent candidates that was running, Jim Waldron, has officially withdrew from the race, and he said in his withdrawal announcement he encourages other third-party candidates to also get out of the race to coalesce around one candidate to take on Mamdani. But with respect to Jim Waldron, he was polling around 1, 2, 3% in most polls, nothing really significant enough to make a massive impact in this race. Also new since the last time I covered this race, there is now a polling aggregate for the New York City mayoral race from Real Clear Politics, which shows Zohran Mamdani at 38.2%, leading by 15% over his next closest rival, Andrew Cuomo, at 23.2%. Curtis Sliwa is polling in third at 16.6%, Eric Adams in fourth at 10.6%, with 11.4% saying they are undecided or currently supporting another choice. So this race is a really interesting one that is going on here. Because based on where Zohran Mamdani is currently at, around the high 30s to low 40s, depending on the poll that you're looking at, Mamdani right now, just based on the math that's out there, assuming the polls are correct, there is not a pathway to victory in the way the race is currently going for any one of these candidates to defeat Mamdani. He has a high floor of support in the 30s to 40% or so, and with the other three candidates splitting the anti-Mamdani vote, there's just not enough votes out there to catch Mamdani, which is why you see calls of Eric Adams and Curtis Sliwa to drop out of the race, and President Trump starting to inject himself in the race in hopes of getting Adams and potentially Sliwa out. And it's interesting because Trump obviously does not really have much love with Andrew Cuomo, someone he's known for a very long time, someone that are on vastly different political spectrums politically when it comes to issues. But Trump also looks at the polls that we're looking at in this video, and it clearly shows. In the head-to-head matchup of Cuomo versus Mamdani, Cuomo is the only one that not only has a chance of beating Mamdani, but it's the only one that probably even comes close to having that possibility. And it shows in the polling average, Cuomo was clearly the second choice candidate now, next to Mamdani. Curtis Sliwa, the Republican, is polling in third at 16.6%. Now, Sliwa is a very interesting case in this Republican primary because unlike a lot of races where we see the Republican being a very pro-Trump Republican that basically want to please the president every way they can, Sliwa has gone multiple times now with statements being very vocal that he is not a necessarily pro-Trump Republican. He's more of a anti-Trump Republican or so, and doesn't really care if the president wants him to drop out of the race, and he said he's going to stay in it pretty much no matter what. So that alone may be signing a potential death warrant on stopping Zohran Mamdani if Curtis Sliwa stays in the race. But President Trump right now is focusing on trying to get Eric Adams out of the race. And Eric Adams and President Trump, I believe the Trump administration did try and help out Eric Adams earlier on when Trump first took office. I'm not 100% sure on all the details of that, so if you want to look into all that, go ahead. I don't want to say anything that's false or not true or anything, but I do believe the Trump administration and Mayor Adams at the start of Trump's second term did have something to do with New York City and with the ICE, but again, I'm not totally sure, but make sure to go check that out. But Trump sees that 10.6% that Adams currently has in the polling average, and if that support were to drop out of the race and either go into undecided, or let's just say go for Andrew Cuomo, that would get Cuomo up to about 33.8%. He would be within about 5 points of Andrew Cuomo and Zohran Mamdani, about a 5-point race between the two of them. So with Sliwa still in the race and 11.4% undecided, Cuomo would need to win a lot of that undecided vote to win, but it would be more mathematically possible than it currently is in this current situation. Now, if Curtis Sliwa also dropped out of the race, he seems to be getting more support than Eric Adams is right now, and gave his endorsement to Andrew Cuomo. That would give Cuomo a much stronger chance at defeating Mamdani. But again, Sliwa has said he will not drop out, and now Eric Adams has also said he will not drop out. And the polls, like the Tolchin Research poll, which shows what a head-to-head matchup could look like between Mamdani and Adams, shows a 3-point lead for Zohran Mamdani with 13% undecided. So in that hypothetical scenario, it is necessarily possible for Adams to catch Mamdani in that race. But when it's Cuomo versus Mamdani, it's a very big win for Cuomo, getting a 11% win with still 7% undecided. But there seems to be more certainty that when it's Cuomo versus Mamdani, there's a much better chance of Mamdani losing. Now, the Gotham polling and analytics poll shows a little bit of a different story here. When it becomes Mamdani versus Cuomo, Mamdani still leads by 11 points over Cuomo. But in that one, there's 27% of voters that are undecided. But for Mamdani versus Eric Adams, it is a 24-point lead for Mamdani versus Adams. Now, this is the real problem that Eric Adams faces in this race, and why he's having to run as an independent in this current race right now, which is Eric Adams is extremely unpopular among the men and women of New York City. His polling numbers are not good. His approval polls are not good. They're so bad even among Democrats that he had to run for it as an independent because he had no chance of winning the Democratic primary. So Eric Adams could do more good in this race by dropping out and endorsing Andrew Cuomo and giving him a fighting chance against Zohran Mamdani, even if Curtis Sliwa did not drop out. But if Sliwa did, that would certainly give Cuomo a much better chance. But with Eric Adams' statements today about him not dropping out and calling Cuomo a snake, that pretty much gives any chance of that out the window. Now, elections are obviously very volatile. I expect President Trump will try and keep the pressure up on Adams and Sliwa to get them out of the race to support Cuomo. But if President Trump is unsuccessful in doing so and Adams and Sliwa stay in this race, this is going to be a Zohran Mamdani victory in early November of 2025. But still, I'm covering this race because this is very fascinating. It's very interesting to see a race in New York City being this competitive, because typically it's one Democrat versus one Republican, and it's a massive Democratic win. But in this one, with two Democrats essentially running as third-party candidates, and Zohran Mamdani, the Democratic nominee, and then Curtis Sliwa, the Republican, this is a much more competitive race than we're used to seeing in New York City, and it's certainly one that I'm very keeping a close eye on because of how close and competitive this could be. So for now, Adams and Sliwa are staying in the race. Andrew Cuomo is still second place, but Zohran Mamdani is favored to become the next mayor of New York City. But if anything changes, I will do a future video updating on everything that is going on. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to hit like and subscribe. Also, make sure to leave a comment below if you have any comments or questions that you would like to leave. I always check those out, so make sure to do that. Thank you so much for watching, and hope to see you in a future video.